earn more money but too busy to start a side hustle? Do it the right way and teach your money to make more money for yourself, even when you're asleep. Dale Corpus will show you just how here on the School of Cash Flow. With his entrepreneurial mindset and extensive experience in real estate and finance, Dale will help you become a responsible, strategic, and passionate passive real estate investor. Learn how you can increase your earnings or find more ways to make money, only here on the School of Cash Flow.
Hi, and good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the School of Cash Flow. So I'm the host, Dale Corpus, and this is the third episode of the podcast. So my guest today is my colleague and friend, Vince Iacobelli, who's both a realtor and investor based in the Columbus, Ohio market. Here's a little bit more about him. So after starting off in real estate as a property manager, Vince has thrived in the real estate investing world by helping others while he builds his own business and portfolio. And as an agent, Vince helps new investors grow their investment portfolios and build successful teams out of state. Recently, Vince has started a small real estate investment company called Strive Capital that focuses on creating equity and cash flow through buy and hold investments on single family and small multifamily properties. So I'm so stoked that Vince is on this episode as he brings a wealth of knowledge to both new and experienced real estate investors, trying to build their real estate portfolios. So I too started off with real estate investing with out-of-state buy and hold rentals. So what Vince focuses on is a really good entry point for anyone considering the idea of real estate investing. So that being said, welcome, Vince. Thanks for your time. And so how are you doing today?
Hey, Dale. I'm doing great. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to get on the podcast and really just talk real estate.
No, that's.
I know that this is pretty much all we do, and absolutely love it.
Agents, we could talk about this stuff all day long. I mean, like, just to give the audience a little bit more background, is there anything else that you want to share about yourself that I didn't cover in the intro?
Yeah, I would just say that, so currently I'm also a real estate agent with eXp Realty, and this was all a recent development, and I actually chose you as my sponsor broker because I thought that we were very, very like-minded when it came to investing, and you definitely have a little more experience than me, and we come from different worlds because at the end of the day, we're in different markets, and there's different strategies that fit best for the markets that we're in. So I think it helps give a really unique perspective.
No, that's definitely true. I mean, I think it's interesting that both of us are both realtors and investors. I mean, for yourself, how did you get involved just in real estate? Were you an investor first or were you an agent first? Can you kind of just tell the audience about that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's the right place to start because a lot of people that are listening to this are going to be newer, and that's fine. That's normal. Most people realize that to get started in real estate, there has to be a time when you weren't an investor and you didn't have any properties. So I started out just like everyone else. I'm pretty young. I'm 24 years old. So like you said in my bio there, I was a property manager to start off. I originally got my real estate license while I was still in college. I did not go to school for real estate. I wanted to get my degree in economics and I had absolutely no idea what to do. But my mom has always flipped houses when we were younger. We did live-in flips. So I think we moved once or twice every single year throughout high school. And she was the one that kind of first gave me the bug. I didn't really know that I wanted to be on the investment side. It was more so I had no idea what I wanted to do, as many business majors in college did.
Yep.
And I actually started working at a property management company, which kind of gave me a baptism by fire into real estate investing because I signed on as an agent and a property manager, which basically gave me 150 clients to start from the first day as I managed their properties. And over time, I got to learn how to analyze deals through actual properties that were under management. And I think the coolest thing about that was that I got to kind of see behind the curtain of the successful investors and the not so successful investors. And we get to deal with them and figure out why some were successful, why others weren't successful. Yep. And I think that gave me a pretty good foundation to at least get started into real estate investing.
Okay. Love the fact that you're in your 20s and you got into real estate investing early. For your own personal, first investment, like tell me about that. What was that like for yourself?
Um, well, I mean, I don't think that it was as big of a deal as maybe some other people taking their first steps, just because we kind of live in this world of real estate,
Mhm.
and our day jobs are we're agents, and transacting real estate, that's just another day in the life. It's a pretty easy process. So I actually got involved with investing in real estate by finding a partner. And my partner was one of my original clients. He took a chance on me when I was very young, and he's definitely been a mentor to me. As he's a little older, he's 44 years old. He comes from a world of commercial real estate experience, and my first foray into real estate investing was actually starting a partnership with him. And we didn't just buy one property; we bought, like, I think, four properties at once,
Mhm.
and they were all fix and flips. They were all rehabs. We're really big onto value add strategies. So it was, we'll say there were some growing pains, to put it nicely,
Yeah.
as we figured out our contractors and our systems. And we had to fire some contractors. Definitely had some projects go sideways, but that's really what real estate investing is. You're just a nonstop problem solver. You just move from one problem to the next, and that's how you learn.
Got it. And what types of properties were they? Were they single family? Were they multifamily?
Right. So we did a little bit of single family and a little bit of multifamily. I'd say it's a good mix. And I think this is kind of a good point to just talk about the market
Yep.
in general, because in Columbus, Ohio, and I would imagine this is pretty similar for any other markets in the United States, you have to look at the housing supply and the inventory on markets. There is obviously going to be more single families than small multifamilies. And the single families usually are a lot easier to find deals on, because there's so many investors fighting over the same small multifamily properties. And there's maybe 5% of the inventory compared to single families. And it's not just off market investors, wholesalers. You have a lot of retail buyers that are definitely of the cash flow mindset, coming from other more expensive markets where multifamilies are the only properties that you can really make cash flow.
Yep.
But we found that in Columbus, Ohio, we have a really, really good price to rent ratio on single families. So we've actually completely changed our model now, and we're really focusing in on doing the single families, because we can create a lot more equity, and we can have really good cash flow with a lot less competition.
Okay. Can you elaborate the price to rent ratio for those that don't know what that means?
Absolutely. So and this is probably a common term. So a lot of people have heard of the 1% or the 2% rule. Especially if you've listened to Bigger Pockets, they probably drilled this in your head 100,000 times. And the price to rent ratio is basically saying that if we have a property that is valued at $100,000, and we're renting it out for $1,000 a month, we would be at a 1% of the rent to price ratio for that property. In our market in Columbus, generally we like to stay above like 1.25 to 1.5. 2 years ago, we wouldn't send out deals if they were like under 1.85%. We were able to actually get the 2% rule, which is absolutely crazy. I would love to have a deal these days, but the market has just gone up and in value so much, and rents have gone up in values as well. It's starting to outpace the values of the properties a little bit.
Okay. Besides the price to rent ratio, like why else invest in Columbus? Like what's the draw? I mean, who are the bigger employers out of there? Like where's everybody work?
Right. So this is like the most common question that we get, because I mainly work with out-of-state investors from more expensive markets, and everyone's like, Columbus, Ohio, is that like north, south? Like, what's going on over there? It's not just all cornfields. Specifically in Columbus, Ohio, we have big population drivers. We have the Ohio State University, my alma mater. The Ohio State University has a ton of undergrads that are graduating with good degrees, going into high paying jobs and staying in the city. And I believe we have about 5,000 new people per month coming into the city, which is pretty good for the Midwest. It's a lot better than Cleveland and Cincinnati, which are our two other big cities in Ohio. As far as our leading industries, I mean, it's pretty much the same as a lot of other places. We have finance being probably our leading industry, alongside with insurance. We have Nationwide, actually headquarters in Columbus, as well as Root Car Insurance, a couple others. And healthcare is the #1 employer in all of Ohio. And we've actually based a lot of our investment strategies in the locations we invest on based off of development of where some of these larger businesses are going, because it's bringing in so many young people with high paying jobs that will not settle for the quality of the houses in the area. And it's really kind of forcing investors to improve the area and genuinely bring up the condition of the neighborhoods that we're around.
Okay, that does make sense. So what can someone expect as a brand new investor if they wanted to buy a detached single family home? Let's say it was a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom. What would that price point look like?
Well, the price point that I would recommend, and this may be kind of jumping the gun a little bit, because there's investing really depends on a couple things. One is how much money you have. Two is what you're trying to do with that money. Are you a newer investor, and are you looking to seriously grow your capital? Or are you looking at real estate as a store of value so you could have passive income? Because those two answers are going to completely change your investment strategy. And then the third one, which I always tell my clients is probably the most important, is how much time do you have to devote to real estate? Everyone gets into real estate investing for passive income, and that's great. There's ways to make it passive, but in order to be a truly successful investor, you're going to have to devote time to it, and you're going to have to properly build out your teams and your systems in order to make it passive. So don't think that you're just going to get involved and it's like buying a stock, you'll check back in 2 years. If you really want to be successful, I really genuinely recommend learning about it. So to go back to your question, what I would recommend for someone coming into our market and they want to buy a single family property that beats the 1% rule, and is fairly passive and turnkey. By that, I don't want to, a turnkey has a negative connotation to it a lot of the times, but that doesn't need significant renovations. You can get financing with conventional financing. I would recommend looking for a property, a single family in the $130,000 to $150,000 range. And that could be a 3-bedroom or a 4-bedroom. The expected rents on those, it's going to be about $1,200 to $1,300, depending on condition for the 3-bed, 1-baths. And then if you can get a 4-bed, 2-bath or a 4-bed, 1-bath, we're getting up to $1,600 a month in income just off of the rental, which is phenomenal. That equates to probably $400 a month cash flow for 3-1s and about $600 to $700 a month for 4-2s after you take away PITI, capital expenditures, reserves, property management, taxes, all the fun stuff.
You talked about team. I mean, besides having like a realtor, an investment property realtor on the team, what other types of players on this team should someone be looking out for?
Right. So this is probably the most important part. And this is definitely something that I help my clients with because I'm also an investor myself, and I have a rock star team. Building your team is absolutely the most important thing that you have to do. When you're coming out to a new market, I like to set everyone up with multiple property managers to interview. They are very crucial. That is who's going to actually be operating your assets. So that's absolutely important. Besides that, you need a good realtor who actually knows what an investment property is. There's, I don't want to talk down on my realtors, but there's a lot of retail realtors that have no idea what a cash on cash return is. They don't even know how to spell cap rate. And, they may just be trying to throw you in the first property that they see that you can get approved for. The third one is your lenders. And this one's interesting because as an investor, and as you continue your investing career, you're going to get access to different kinds of capital. Mm-hmm. When you first start out, like the example we just talked about for the single families, you can 100% finance those with conventional financing. And because of the purchase price being so low in our market, it's pretty easy to be honest. Your debt to income, it's your mortgage payment on a house like that is going to be like $550, $600 a month. And it's not really going to affect your debt to income. You could probably buy 2, 3, or 4 of those, with just a decent salary. But as you continue to invest and you build your track record, and you can actually show this to lenders, you're going to get access to better financing, whether that be portfolio financing for refinances, which is something we've been very large on lately, or using hard money lenders to help fund acquisitions. And even, they could help fund your rehabs if you need them to. And then the last one is really the pinnacle of real estate investing when I think that you can really start to scale. And that is bringing in private lenders. That's private equity. And that is what can really, really help you grow your business. And that's kind of where we are for my real estate investing company. Is right now we're starting to show some phenomenal returns to our private equity lenders just because they allow us to move so quick.
Okay. How quick is quick?
Well, that depends on what you're doing. Yeah. So we probably go off the deep end a little bit. Some other investors would say we're kind of crazy for the amount of rehab we do, but we're big into traditional value add investing. And we love to rehab our properties and make sure that we're fixing all of the larger capital expenditures. A capital expenditure that's like a roof, that's your plumbing, that's your furnace. Those are large capital expenses that are going to break on your house at some point. So when we go in, we're fixing all of this up, as well as we're making the cosmetic condition, like the kitchens and bathrooms, better than our competition, because people are willing to pay more for a higher quality product. And it's not like we're going crazy by any means. We're still making our deals work, but we do put a good amount of rehab into them.
Which leads me to my next question, and it kind of is very similar to what you're just answering. Is like, what other strategies do you have to help ensure a successful investment for your clients?
Yeah, I mean, this goes back to the time involvement piece. I'm happy to work with my clients. Some of my clients are my best friends. That's how I found my partner. He was actually one of my clients. And you got to realize that real estate is a team sport. Absolutely. You cannot invest out of state with just trying to be a solopreneur. I don't know if you don't necessarily need to make yourself the largest company in the world, but you need to have rock stars on your team. And the natural progression, I would say, really has to go from buy and hold investing into value add. And you can pretty much, just the next logical step from buy and hold is going to be basically a BRRRR. Everybody knows what a BRRRR is. You buy it, you rehab it, you rent it, and you refinance it. It sounds a lot easier on paper than it is to execute. And why I recommend starting with buy and hold a lot of time is because you need to build those relationships, specifically with the contractors and the hard money lenders. If you're looking on the internet, and especially go look at any hard money lender's website, they'll be like, oh yeah, we'll do 90-10 loan to value, 100% of rehab costs. What they don't tell you is they will only give that to you if you've done 5 deals and you have a proven track record. So most likely, if you're starting out, you're going to get access to the worst financing. You're not going to have access to the best contractors. And you can get access to those by doing these buy and hold deals, being active in your market, being involved, network your butt off like we do, and reach out to the successful operators in your area and go and provide value. Go to a mastermind. We have a pretty small city, but we have a rock star group of real estate investors that has a community that spans nationwide. There's a lot of the guys in Scottsdale. Everyone from Columbus flies out to the guys in Scottsdale. They fly out and they go to our masterminds in Columbus. And that's some of the best ways to get plugged into the market is go find the guys that are actually doing deals and go provide some value. Go sell them a deal. Go buy a deal from them. And that's really how you get started.
Okay. Is there a typical time frame when you're working with investor clients for how long they keep a property, or do you want them to sell it after a certain period of time, or do you want them just to keep it long term, pull out, do a cash out refinance, or buy their next? Can you talk a little bit about that? Mm-hmm.
Yes, I can. So there are certain times when it may make sense to sell a property. I might be one of the very few realtors that'll tell you not to sell a property.
Mhm.
You make money in real estate by holding these assets long term, and there's better options usually. Besides just refinancing out properties one at a time, you can get a portfolio refinance, and you can put debt on multiple properties at once and pull out large sums of money. I
Mhm.
really recommend going that route rather than selling, especially if you're setting these properties up correctly. When you're buying them and you're buying into them right, you're fixing all the capital expenditures,
Mhm.
so you're not going to have a whole lot of expenses. On a lot of these properties, it doesn't really make sense to sell them. And that's speaking for buy and hold investing. So,
Okay, I got it. I know you recently started your investment company. So what kinds of deals, or how do you work with investors there? Like what was the goal of that investment company?
right. I mean, that's the goal of the company is, I think, the goal of everyone when they first get into real estate. Everyone gets into real estate because they want financial freedom,
Yeah.
probably want to make some money, and they want to provide for their families, and that's generations of families. They want to provide for your kids, and that's exactly what our goal is. My partner and I, Chris is his name, he's been in the commercial world for about 20 years, and now he's retired. I say he's unemployed, um, because that's how the bank looks at him. And the goal for us is to seriously scale a portfolio of single families until about 100 units, and then really try and build a business that is systematized and organized so we can eventually work ourselves out of it. Um, there's a lot of investors that get very caught up in grinding, trying to hit 1,000 units and just endlessly scaling. But if you're getting into real estate for financial freedom and to reclaim some of your life, you need to focus on building a business around the lifestyle that you want. And you have to make those two things work together. Otherwise, you're going to get burnt out. You're going to get caught up in the failure and rejection of real estate, which there is a ton of.
Mhm.
And it's just not going to be something that can be sustained and last long term. So please build your business around your lifestyle.
Yep, makes sense. How, in your words, how active or passive is investing over in Columbus with with what you're doing with your clients?
Mhm. So for my clients that are just doing the buy and holding, it's pretty passive. We work with a rockstar group of property managers, and we're buying. There's luckily in Columbus we have great price points, so that's probably the number one reason why it's actually passive. You can buy into these properties that have already been renovated and still cash flow them. So when we go through that entire process, we'll put it with a property manager for them. The only thing that the client really needs to focus on is getting funding for the next deal, saving up for a down payment, and checking their monthly statement once a month from the property manager to make sure everything's going right. That's not to be said that all property managers are equal. We have probably been through about 6 property management companies. I used to work at one, so I think I at least understand a little bit of what I'm looking for. And you need to find a property manager that is good at communicating. Our property managers, they actually have a weekly call with us every single Wednesday
Mhm.
where they walk through every single asset that we have with them. They go over what's happening with it. If there's nothing happening with it, they'll at least let us know so there's no surprises. And they also communicate with the tenants well, and that's something that doesn't come cheap. But
Mhm.
having that peace of mind and knowing that we have someone on our team that's part of our business is our property managers, looking over that frees our minds up from worrying about that, but also it frees us up to go do better things like go find funding for our next deals or go network with contractors or just go manage the projects that we have that are open.
Got it. In your market, how do you go about finding, deals? I mean, are they mainly on the MLS? Or are you finding deals in other ways?
Yes, we are getting creative. So, as far as buy and hold investing goes, you can still find deals on the MLS. You
Yep.
have to be quick, you have to know what you're looking for, and you have to be good at getting offers accepted, which I think we're pretty good at.
Mhm.
But also, it's about networking with wholesalers, and that's something that we provide. I'm more than happy to share my wholesalers with all of my clients, and I frequently do.
Mhm.
Because they bring us some good deals. I'm totally fine with paying a wholesaler their fee, As long as the deal is still a deal, that is really all that matters. And if they're taking on that burden of going through acquisitions for us, that's great. We'll focus on operating the deal. Besides that, we're also starting up a little acquisitions end ourselves. We're starting to wholesale some contracts as well as just directly reach out to sellers. But for newer investors, I wouldn't get too caught up in it. Focus on the MLS deals. If you're using conventional financing, you have to go with MLS and you have to go with good quality properties. If you have access to hard money and you have experience renovating properties, your next step would probably be wholesaling. But don't try and go out too far ahead of your experience level and jump right into wholesaling and trying to do big fix and flips because I think there's a lot of stuff that can always be learned in real estate. And you do not have to go 1,000 miles an hour because you're probably going to end up putting yourself in a position you don't want to be in, and you're not going to last more than 2 years.
What would you say are the challenges in your market for investors?
Competition is a big one. There is a lot of local investors as well as out-of-state investors coming into the Midwest markets. And it's not just Columbus. I have clients that frequently invest in Indianapolis, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, all of the surrounding markets. The reason why the Midwest is a decent place is really that price to rent ratio. And it's similar across a large, band of states that have similar macroeconomic statistics. That, and to be honest, Dale, it's just the internet. It's made information so easily accessible for so many that it is easy and it's feasible to invest out of state. I'd say about 80% of my clients all live in California or Canada. And we have built successful teams with them to invest out of state very, very easily.
That's good. No, it sounds like you have, all your systems are in place and it's like you're offering a great service to your clients. I mean, I have a question. How has your market been affected, if any, by COVID? What was that like?
We had prices jump by 30%, and we had our inventory hit an all-time low of, I think we went from 6 weeks of inventory to a low of I think it was 13 days at its lowest. There was a little bit of panic to start with.
Yep.
Nobody knew what was going to happen with values. Everyone was seeing the stock market lose 30% over a couple of days. And what that really did was it stopped all sellers from listing their homes. Okay. But we still had this pool of about 8,000 buyers, and they were just chomping away at the inventory every single week. And it's pretty simple supply and demand, but when the demand goes up and the supply goes down, prices increase. That, with the addition of there's just not able to build enough properties, and the properties they are building, like a new build anywhere in urban Columbus, starts at $450,000 to $500,000 now. Okay. Which, if you were hearing our previous price points of $150,000 for single family homes, that's a world of difference. And that is not your first time home buyer. That is fairly high priced in our market, especially when compared to our median incomes. Okay. So prices have definitely been on the rise. And I don't really see them slowing down for any amount of time. I think our market in Columbus was pretty underpriced for a very long time. Even 2 to 3 years ago, we were able to buy houses for $15,000, $20,000, $25,000, obviously in need of renovations. And now those same houses in the same boarded up condition are selling for $60,000 to $70,000. Oh. And if you extrapolate that out to even more desirable areas for owner occupants, anything in the suburbs has like an average days on market of 3 to 4 days.
Wow, that's fast. That's quick. And multiple offers, I take it.
Of course. Yes. You basically got to sell your soul to the devil to get an offer, waiving inspection periods, remedies. But that's why you get an experienced agent, especially one who has relationships with other agents and they know your ability to execute. And that's where you can really get creative with the offer terms. Once you actually know how the sales process really works, you can get very creative with your buyers and either bring closing cost coverage or, you could dance around the appraisal gap coverage, whatever it needs to be to get a deal done. A lot of the retail agents don't think outside the little box that is the purchase contract.
Yep. What's your, you work with a lot of investor clients. So what's your ideal investor client type of avatar? Like, what are the backgrounds, or like, what do you, what's the common thing you see with all your clients?
So if we're starting at a high level, the common trait that I see with all my clients is that they take action. And that's different from taking risk. All of my successful clients, they move quickly, they take action, and they're willing to learn. I know we touched on it earlier, but real estate is basically just high level problem solving every single day. If you're the kind of person that can roll with the punches and solve problems as they come up and not get phased by that, and just keep your eyes focused on the end goal, you will be immensely successful. And the speed at which you're able to go is going to be just so much greater than anyone else. As far as what that looks like financially, because I'm sure that's what everyone listening actually wants to hear about. You don't need to be crazy wealthy. I would say income between $80,000 to $100,000 is good enough to get started. And I would say have at least $40,000 down if you want to buy one property. Your down payment is probably going to be between 25 to 30,000. And more money always helps, but that's where it comes in. Are you using real estate as a store of value, or do you need to create equity? Because if you need to create equity and you really are a problem solver, then we'll start talking about BRRRRs, and we'll find some ways for you to recycle your cash a little faster.
Makes sense. I mean, what about joint ventures? Do you ever do any of those?
Yes, we love joint ventures. Real estate is a team sport. One of the main reasons why I see investors fail or get overwhelmed or really just never take off is because they think that they have to do everything themselves. And there's just too much to do yourself. Like, you have to realize that you're running a business. And think of any successful company. The CEO isn't the one going out and dealing with the supply chain. The CEO isn't also the sales manager. And as an investor, especially a new investor starting out, depending on your situation, I would almost recommend a joint venture more than trying to go and do it on your own, because you can easily go out, you can partner with someone else that doesn't have the same skill set as you, and you can make stuff work. Specifically, what I am talking about is if you are an out-of-state investor coming from California and you have a couple $100,000 in the bank and you don't know how to safely deploy that because you've never bought or ran an out-of-state investing company, I would go partner with an operator in the area and say, hey, I have some cash. I'm willing to learn. I'm willing to go find and analyze deals, but I need you to help me operate them. And that's really what we do all the time with our contractors, especially on the investing side. When we have properties to flip, we're working with a lot of successful contractors that are now starting to invest on their own, which is awesome to see them starting to understand that side of the business. And we'll bring deals to them and we'll be like, hey, look, we found the deal. We're going to finance the deal, but I want to give you the deal and I want you to operate it well, get it to this condition level where our comps are. And I want you to call me a week before it's done so I could schedule pictures. And, they pick up on a skill set that we don't have. And I would really, really recommend that. Even just having two people to be able to tackle the same problems and support each other. I really recommend that. Would you rather have a whole of a little grape, or would you rather have a bigger slice of a gigantic watermelon? Just think of it like that. You don't have to do everything on your own.
Yep, absolutely. What advice do you have to someone wanting to get started out in out-of-state buy and hold investing? Is there anything that jumps out at you?
Yeah, take action. It's as simple as a phone call. You need to go reach out, find a market or find similar markets that meet your criteria, and just start at the top like anything else. Like, what's your investment strategy? Are you looking to create some passive income and you have a couple $100,000 sitting away and you really want to buy more turnkey properties? Okay, great. Go look at good cash flow markets. Are you in this for the long term and you're interested in good cash flow and appreciation? Come to Columbus and talk to me. And then it's really just, don't try to move too fast. Usually when I meet with investors for the first time, I don't show them the MLS or start analyzing a deal until the third or fourth call. We don't even look at numbers because you need to build your team out, and I need to understand who they are And your team is what's going to make or break you. A good agent, especially a good investor agent, go find someone else who's actually investing, and they're going to have the property managers. They're going to have great local lenders. Not all lenders lend across the entire country. A lot of times when we have investors come in, they're like, oh, I have this lender that's in California. He's worked on me with other deals. And it's like, great, can he lend in Ohio? And they're like, I didn't think of that. So, don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't try and take it all on your shoulders, and just get started. It's never going to be the right time. It's never going to be perfect. You sure as hell aren't ever going to understand everything you need to, but you learn along the way.
How does somebody go about, investing with you? And if they were interested in a JV or whatnot?
Yeah. The easiest way is really just to reach out to me. I'm sure you'll have phone number, email address, social media on Instagram. We post as much as we possibly can to social media to show that we're actually real, we're active in the market, and hopefully that we know what we're doing. So, just reach out. It's quite simple. I'm sure you could even find me through Dale, your own Instagram, since you are my sponsor agent. So,
what's the best way for someone to learn about, you and your company? I mean, what platform, or, should they email you? They go on social media, or what website?
Yes, I would actually at this point say social media. So we just got done filming today a couple videos where it's, we're doing a lot more video content between my partner and I to explain not just what we do with our real estate investment kind of company, but who I am as an agent, what my background, my experience is, and what we're currently working on. And I think that's something important, especially even if you don't go and choose Columbus as a market. Anyone you reach out to, this is including contractors for sure. You want to be able to go and see and show that they're actually doing deals and they're actually active, to show that they have experience and they know what they're talking about.
Makes sense. So I will go ahead and have all your contact information in the show notes. Vince, I really appreciate you, absolutely being on the show. You offered so much value to the listeners, and to everyone listening, thanks for checking out the episode of the School of Cash Flow. Feel free to reach out to Vince directly for any questions related to the Columbus, Ohio market. He's a wealth of knowledge. And until next time, everyone, live life abundantly.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the School of Cash Flow. We hope you enjoyed our deep dive into all the tips and tricks you can use to help you on your passive investing journey. In the meantime, you may visit www.cashflowschoolpodcast.com for more great episodes. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, review, and share. That's all for this episode, folks. See you next time.